Welcome along, everyone. This is related to Philip's webinar in partner with the Reading Agency on Scaling Up Success, the future of the Summer Reading Challenge in Scotland. I'm Sean McNamara, Director of Philips, and we're also joined by Leah Higgins and Kirsten McQuarrie from the Philips team. We're on hand to help you with anything today, and if you have any issues at all, please just do put them in the chat and we'll do our best to help you. If you can, keep your microphones off unless you're asking a question later on. Cameras, please, on or off is absolutely fine. Leave them on if you can, but totally fine, whatever you're more comfortable with. So yeah, we're really pleased to be hosting this webinar today. You know, we may have all seen, there has been this worrying drop off in the levels of reading enjoyment across the UK, and Scotland's not immune to that. And there's so much research from some of the people on the call which shows just the importance of reading for pleasure and the links to well-being and more. So we think that the Summer Reading Challenge is an absolute wonderful way to increase reading enjoyment and find ways for young people to access books and reading. And we're really happy to be able to work with the Reading Agency to try and support more awareness being raised of the Summer Reading Challenge. Today we've got a few speakers. We'll hear from Marion Cundern, who is Principal Officer at SLIC. We have Dr. Karina Spalding, who is from the Reading Agency, and also Emma Braithwaite from the Reading Agency. And we also have Wendy Johnson, who's Service Development Leader for Children and Young People at Midlothian Libraries. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'll be doing a bit of Q&A later on. So if we do come to that, then I will ask any questions that are in the chat. So if a question pops into your head halfway through, please just do that. Can I just check the mic, if everybody's got their mic off, I can hear some background noise.
Did you send them in?
Thank you. Okay, right, we will now get started. So I am now going to first of all pass on to Marion from SLIC, who's going to talk a bit about the Scottish policy and context around this. So Marion, please feel free to share slides if you can, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Okay, bear with me. Is it moving on?
If I it's not moving on, no, I think we can still.
No, I might need to. Do you know what? I'm just going to talk to them and I'll share the slides with you, okay?
Okay, yeah, no worries, that's fine. Thanks, Marion.
So thanks everybody. It's always very weird when you do these webinars and you can't actually see anyone, but I see a lot of familiar faces. So just to talk you through the sort of Scottish policy context, apologies about the slides, I will share them with everybody afterwards. And they were really just to keep me right, so there's nothing super interesting, although maybe there's some ECAM data on here. First of all, I just want to talk about the programme for government priorities. So we know that the four main priorities for government are growing the economy, eradicating child poverty, tackling the climate emergency, and high quality and sustainable public services. So we know that raising the connection between literacy and poverty and the attainment gap and the economy, we know that there's so much research out there about the outcomes for economic outcomes based on your literacy at a very early stage. So there's the golden thread running through all of these priorities for government. Literacy is key. So I also want to talk about Forward, Scotland's public library strategy. We know that that's now coming to an end. But just to go over that, the very first strategic aim of Forward was to embed libraries as lead contributors to reading and literacy by closing the learning gap in communities through national programmes and local initiatives like BookBug, like the Summer Reading Challenge. And as the sort of strategy, I'll talk a bit in a minute about what's on the horizon, that remains our bread and butter and what the key thing that libraries offer. When we were developing the Forward, we made sure to embed it in national priorities. So we looked across the whole of the sort of government priorities, and we made sure that it tied into the national performance framework, the Sustainable Development Goals, the UNCRC. So we were really looking at the bigger picture and how libraries connect and work across all of these policy areas. And I think that translates to the local as well, when we're promoting things like the Summer Reading Challenge, that how it ticks the council priorities and how we can make the most of our offer and selling that to the local priorities for your area as well. So just to give you an idea of what's coming up on the horizon, there's a library strategy refresh due to be published this year. Lindsay from SLIC is working with an advisory group at COSLA on developing that. The reason behind a refresh is because we're going into an election year, so very much want to develop something that will bridge the gap between that election year and moving into a new strategy. So it'll look at what is still a priority after Forward, what we think we've got more to do on, but literacy and reading remain absolutely key. So that'll be a more streamlined version of Forward with the very natty title of Fast Forward. There's a reading strategy refresh that Apples have been working on, so that should be launched in either this year or early next year, so that's on the horizon too. And also, and this will probably be discussed later in the meeting as well, as the National Year of Reading 2026, which will be a huge campaign next year and a hook for us to hang things like our Summer Reading Challenge, like BookBug, like ECAM, like the things like the Keep the Heat and Read that we were planning on doing maybe this year. We've decided to hold off to next year because we can use that National Year of Reading as a real hook to have a full-on year of events celebrating reading. And another one that I don't know if everybody's aware of is that we have received government funding to develop a single digital platform for Scotland's public libraries. So that'll be a sort of digital front door to all Scottish public libraries. And that makes it very useful when we've got universal campaigns like the Summer Reading Challenge, that we can signpost them back to local websites to promote things like that. So that's the sort of 4 key things to think about for next year. I'm just going to go over ECAM again, like you've seen my ECAM slides, because I think ECAM is so important to everything we do, and I think we've kind of lost our way with it a little bit. So it's just for anybody on the call who's not familiar, it's a programme for government commitment to ensure that all of Scotland's children benefit from being registered and active library members. It's supposed to offer a simple, consistent and national branded approach to children's library membership in Scotland's public libraries. And obviously the reason behind it was because of our concerns about literacy. 1 in 5 poorer children in Scotland leave primary school unable to read well, 4 times higher than children from the least disadvantaged backgrounds. Family learning helps close the attainment gap through breaking intergenerational cycles of deprivation and low attainment. And of course, we'll hear, I'm sure today, from probably Karina about the research, and we all know about this decline in reading for pleasure. So it's affecting families across the board. There's so much competition now for attention. I know as a militant reading mum that it's hard even for me to convince my child to put away Roblox and read, but I've persevered and it's paying off. But it's hard. Just to give you some of the headline stats behind data, the data behind ECAM. So from the baseline, we now have the Library Data Framework, which is an amazing tool for us to be able to look at some of the data. We know that when we did the first collection of that data, that we had 447,000 members aged 0 to 15, which is about 50% of the 0 to 15 population in Scotland. And by the next year, that had increased to about 64% of the population, so a 17% increase in registered members. The biggest increase was the number of registered members aged between 0 to 4, which increased by about 55%. So I'm not sure the data on that, but we did see a big jump. So we know that it's been effective, especially in the early years. Over the same period, the members in the 5 to 11 age group rose by 8%, and the number in the 12 to 15 by 17%. Active borrowers only increased by about 10%, so we know that there's a lot of work needs to be done in retaining and engaging borrowers. And we know that Summer Reading Challenge, and there's research there, again, I'm sure we can share with you to back the success of engaging with schools during the Summer Reading Challenge ahead of the summer holidays to do sort of whole class, whole school sign-ups and increasing that membership, but also trying to activate it. I think that's the thing that ECAM, we've maybe got caught up in the how to do it, but it's just the overarching thing that we should think about. Well, everything that we do of our children and young people's offer is tying it back to how do we increase our membership, but how do we ensure that that membership is active and engaged, and that there's meaningful programs throughout the year that will we'll bring them in. So I think the Summer Reading Challenge offers an excellent opportunity to do that. And yeah, so how does the Summer Reading Challenge, I think, is a key to supporting that, another activation point for ECAM. We talk about book bug and you know, at school, nursery and school enrolment, but the Summer Reading Challenge also offers an excellent opportunity to engage with users. In terms of Scotland, we did an audit last year of, you know, who was doing what in terms of the national offer. I think we had about 18 doing the National Summer Reading Challenge, 10 doing their own programmes, and about 4 who didn't participate last year just due to budget and capacity restraints. And we know that this is a huge issue. So I'm really keen to hear from everybody about how they've got on with, you know, the pros and cons of developing your own offer. But we know that a universal offer, for us, it makes it really easy, and especially if we're going to have this tool, the single digital platform, to signpost parents to things like the Summer Reading Challenge, that a universal offer really, really helps. So I think I have blathered on enough. I feel like I'm just talking into the abyss here. I will share the slides. I'll probably send them to you because it'll be a large file showing, so I'll just transfer it over to you after this, and if you could share, or we'll figure something out.
We could see them actually when you were clicking through. We could see the screen where the slides are, so we could actually see the data and everything. So thank you. But yes, please do just transfer them over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think next up we have Dr. Quina Spalding. So thank you so much, Nine. There'll be time for questions at the end for everybody, so we'll come to the questions at the end. So, Quina, do you want to share slides and take it away from here? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much for having us today, and to Marion especially for that really important context and background for where some of what I'm going to be sharing sits within that. So what I'm going to talk about just very briefly today is some trends around children's reading, as well as some of the data that we have from the Summer Reading Challenge. I'm thinking specifically about Scotland, but also about some new outreach work we've been doing over the last 3 years. So I'm going to start out with a little bit of doom and gloom, which I'm sure everybody is quite aware of here. And that's around what is being called this children's reading crisis, and more generally a wider crisis in reading, including adult reading. And we see, looking at the data, that there's no doubt that in many ways the crisis in children's reading is very real, with recent research from the National Literacy Trust, as well as other organizations like Farshore, showing that we're seeing some of the lowest levels in children's reading for pleasure since 2005. Just 1 in 3 children now say that they enjoy reading, which is a staggering drop of 33% on 2005 figures. Fewer children are also reading on a daily basis, with the steepest drop being amongst 5 to 10-year-olds, and also with boys. Whereas more than half of children in that age group were reading at least 4 days or more a week in 2021, only 1 in 3 were doing so in 2024. So we're seeing a very, very stark drop in quite a short time period there. Research, looking into what those reasons driving that decline include things like changes in home reading patterns, with families spending less time reading individually, but also much less time reading together. Our own State of the Nation in adults reading research shows that adults themselves are also reading less, which means that parents are not providing those important positive reading role models at home to reinforce the habit. We also see all of this compounded by mixed experiences of reading at school due to classroom and curriculum pressures. We know that teachers obviously do a very amazing job, but they're really busy and don't always have the time, confidence, or knowledge to promote reading for pleasure in the classroom, or to support and really foster choice for children's reading. So that snapshot obviously of data presents a worrying picture, but it's also really important to recognize some of the blue skies that we see and areas where the evidence shows what works in getting children reading. And one of those ways is the Summer Reading Challenge. Library-led community reading programs, such as the Summer Reading Challenge, consistently buck that trend in declining children's reading engagement, keeping well over 500,000 children across the UK reading for pleasure across the summer holidays. Focused on fun, driven by choice, and happening in the safe and trusted space of the local library. the Summer Reading Challenge generates an annual buzz around reading that is really incomparable. But I know that there are obviously lots of really exciting reading programs going. But I think things like the medal ceremonies that we see are so exciting to be at, and seeing those children's faces and the pride in their accomplishments is yeah, can't be compared. So focusing in on data in Scotland, last year in Scotland, almost 25,000 children took part in the Summer Reading Challenge, with just under 3,000 of them becoming new library members. Children borrowed over 742,000 books over the Summer Reading Challenge period, and 24,000 children and families attended more than 1,000 events across the country. Looking at who's taking part, the profile of the type of children taking part in Scotland, the data shows that the Summer Reading Challenge is engaging boys in reading over the summer period at a higher rate than that national average for reading engagement that I just presented shows. So we have about 43% boys and 57% girls taking part across the country. Looking at a breakdown of ages, we see that the Summer Reading Challenge is also effectively engaging children in that 8 to 11-year-old age range, where that reading level drops off quite starkly as well, with children across that primary school age range taking part in almost equal measure. And just to point out that 46% in that 8 to 11-year-old age range is higher than that UK average we see across the Summer Reading Challenge. So well done to Scotland in engaging those older age ranges. In our annual family survey, we also asked parents and caregivers to reflect on their children's reading habits prior to taking part in the Summer Reading Challenge. 1 in 8 told us that their child reads once a month or less, and 6% said their child only spent time reading at school. 1 in 4 said their child lacks reading confidence, and 1 in 5 said their child struggles to focus on reading. We see that compounded by other challenges that some of our participants are experiencing, with 9% of parents telling us that their child has a disability or other support need that affects their reading engagement or ability to read. The positive news is that the data also shows that our formula for helping children discover the joy of reading really works. Focusing in on our impact data from participants in Scotland, almost 4 in 5 children said that they're reading more during the summer, with 94% reading for enjoyment at least once a week after taking part. 2 in 3 children say that their reading enjoyment has increased, with around 70% indicating they feel more confident reading and that their reading skills have improved. We also see the ways that the challenge helps support children's wider social engagement and family bonding, with 72% saying that they share their reading more with friends and family, and 2 in 5 families now reading together more often, so tackling some of those barriers that are driving that declining engagement. The data also highlights the wider well-being impacts of taking part, with 46% of children feeling more positive about going back to school, and 1 in 3 saying they felt more relaxed while reading over the summer. Also positive to see that 95% of parents say that they and their children plan to take part again next year. So we see a lot of repeat participants. And just to highlight a couple of quotes here from some of our participants in Scotland, one 8 to 9-year-old girl told us, "It was very fun. I managed to progress to reading chapter books for the first time. I loved going to the library and choosing new books." And a parent of a 6 to 7-year-old girl said the challenge was great fun and gave us something free and local to do over the holidays. It gave us a reason to visit the library regularly, and we came across some events at the library that we wouldn't have known about otherwise. So really positive to see those types of impacts happening. And we see that across our open text responses, our qualitative data really, really strongly about the value of the Summer Reading Challenge taking place in that library and being in that library space and being a free and local activity for them to take part in. I'm now just going to focus in very briefly on an exciting new method of outreach that we've been trialing with libraries. Over the last 3 years, the Reading Agency has piloted a new model of Summer Reading Challenge delivery, with library services working strategically with other relevant areas of the local authority, so things like education, public health teams, or children's and family services. And they're doing that to extend the reach and impact of the challenge in areas of high deprivation or areas of low literacy. 39 local authorities took part in that pilot across 3 years, including 2 local authorities in Scotland. To reach those areas of disadvantage, libraries have trialed a range of approaches that included things like targeted work with schools and communities, for example, schools that had little prior engagement with the challenge or a traveler community within a certain school, as well as things like universal enrollment, where all primary children within a specific year group or even within an entire council are supported to enroll on the challenge. And in many cases, that was offered alongside automatic library membership. And we see that as a method of overcoming known barriers to engagement. So here, the Summer Reading Challenge acted as activation for local and national initiatives, potentially like Every Child a Library Member, so sitting alongside that automatic library membership. In brief, our evaluations showed that the reach and impact of the challenge can be amplified by this new way of working, show that it increases access to opportunities for reading for pleasure and library use for those who need it. We saw the gender gap narrow in those areas, with boys accessing the challenge in almost the same proportion as girls. New library membership increased dramatically in pilot areas, driven in part by universal enrollment to challenge, as well as that trial of automatic library membership, but also due to that targeted outreach that was going on with children who hadn't taken part before. As part of this work, independent impact research in the first year showed statistically significant impact for children who took part. And that means a scientifically proven positive difference. Children who took part through these universal and targeted methods read more over the summer, enjoyed reading more, and felt more confident reading compared to those who did not take part. Our qualitative research also showed that children improved their well-being, feeling, quote, braver, calmer, and better able to manage negative emotions. In addition to that impact we've recorded in reach and engagement, we spoke with libraries, families, and local authority stakeholders over the 3 years who shared stories with us about other forms of impact that the model had. Those included, very primarily, a raised profile for the library service across their local authority, with greater recognition of what the library service can deliver, and a raised awareness on the part of wider council services, so thinking about things like children's and family services or public health, and how they could access those library-delivered activities to achieve their own priorities. For example, they told our researchers about the ways the challenge and the local library help deliver against goals such as supporting well-being, but also closing that attainment gap. While that was just a very brief overview of our key findings, our data confidently demonstrates that the reach and impact can be amplified through that model of working. It successfully reduces barriers and raises access to new partnerships and through a more prominent library service. And primarily also by supporting council services to work more closely across the local authority in a joined up way, creating opportunities for children and families most in need of the benefits of reading. A full version of that report is available on our website through the QR code here. If you'd like to learn more, or of course you can get in touch with us to learn more. And I'll now pass over to Wendy Johnston from Midlothian Libraries to share an example of what joined up delivery can look like in practice. Though full disclosure, that wasn't part of the cross-authority pilot, just a really good example of joined up delivery. So I'll pass over to you, Wendy.
Thanks, Karina. I'm just going to share my screen. I'm having similar issues, I think, to Marion, so I will. It's not going to let me even share a screen now. I have to send a request.
Oh, sorry, I forgot you came out, you went out and came back in again. But yeah, that should be you now co-host as well, so you should be able to.
There we go. So I'm not going to try and go to presenter view. I'm just going to take Marion's lead and scroll down my slides. So thank you, Marion and Karina. I think you've set me up beautifully. I think what I've realised is there's lots of recurring themes here with our presentations. So I'm delighted to be able to give you all just a very quick overview of how we deliver the Summer Reading Challenge here in Midlothian. Did that change my screen for you? You see the next slide? Great. Okay, yep. So I guess a lot of what we do in Midlothian will be very similar to what goes on in other local authorities throughout Scotland. We started promotions in May by an email to the head teachers, just planting the seed for the Summer Reading Challenge, and then follow up by sending out the promotional posters for display in schools. Our branch staff are then encouraged to engage with the schools to arrange visits to school assemblies or to host classes within the libraries themselves. And then this year, we sent invitations out in the school bags of every Midlothian primary school pupil. And feedback from some of our branches who have a lot of feeder primary schools has been that that was a huge success. They had parents and children coming in brandishing their invitations, going, "This, please, I want to sign up." And the staff have said, yes, let's do that again next year because it has been so successful. We also have an internal push via Connect, our staff magazine. So the comms department gave us this wonderful front page article on the June issue. And as the largest employer in Midlothian, that gives us access to promote the challenge to a lot of parents and carers who are also employees of Midlothian. This slide, I hope, speaks pretty much for itself. This event was listed as one of our branch's big wins this year. So as you see, an event that we started in the summer holidays, planting sunflower seeds, encourage families to keep coming into the library in the run up to the summer reading challenge to check on the progress of their sunflowers, which enabled us to keep pushing the promotion of the summer reading challenge. And by the time we were in the challenge, there you go, the second picture, our flowers in our library gardens were in full bloom. And it also gave us some really wonderful, colourful, bright content for our social media platforms, which again, we got a lot of engagement from families on that. So it just kept the promotion going. So we do some things a little bit different in Midlothian. So the pictures that you're seeing now are our Midlothian star charts for our challenge. So as well as receiving a sticker for every book that they read, our children in Midlothian get to go and put their star up on the wall chart, which is displayed prominently in every branch. There is something about making that physical mark and then that being on view to the wider library community that just continues to appeal to our young people. I was thinking about this. My grown-up children have been doing this since they were tiny. So it's something that has just continued year after year, right from when we started doing the Summer Reading Challenge in Midlothian. And as I said, I think the key is that physical mark making appeals to the children. Other thing that we have done slightly different this year is we have still said 6 stickers to complete, but in order to make the challenge more accessible to children who, for whatever reason, might struggle to read 6 books over the holidays, we said that sticker 5 and sticker 6 could be for attending one of our events. And the reasoning behind this was we hoped to have more children have a successful finishers outcome. We've always had quite a big drop off from about the 4-book point. So this just made that meant that more children could finish, and having that positive outcome, they're more likely to come back again and take part in the challenge next year. In Midlothian, we have a cost of living task force that's basically a collaboration across all council services to help our families with the cost of living crisis. Last year, we started to work with all other services who delivered summer events. So communities and lifelong learning and employability, sport and leisure, our rangers and our active travel team. And we did a joined up cross-council summer events programme. We publicised this through our lamppost wraps, which is the big picture on the screen there. And you'll see there's a QR code in the bottom corner of that. And that links directly to the summer fun landing page on the council website. And we had over 270 free library events. So when Karina was telling us that there were 1,434 events in Scotland last year, I thought Midlothian had done not bad to come up with that nearly 200 year after year. We did everything from storytelling, you would expect. We've painted pebbles, we've planted herbs, we've made windmills, we've made book hedgehogs, as you can imagine, with over 270 events. I would take the rest of the morning to tell you exactly everything we did, but yeah, happy to answer questions on that at any point. So each of the branches' summer timetables were posted on the individual library web pages. So this is the web analytics for the number of unique visitors to those web pages for the duration of the Summer Reading Challenge campaign. So on the whole, a great increase. And you'll see at the top of the list there, Lonehead and Newbattle libraries with over 100% increase in the number of visits to their web page. And that was definitely reflected in the footfall at those branches events. So that has been a big win for us. So where are we going next with Summer Reading Challenge in Midlothian? So let me just tell you a little bit about Midmouse. Midmouse is our transition programme in Midlothian for early years to P1. It's been on the go for about 5 years, and libraries have just very recently begun to get more involved. So my background before I came back to libraries was I worked in early years, so I have made use, I'm going to say made use rather than exploit, my contacts that I have within the early years team. So our communities knit these little mice, and we collect them in libraries on behalf of education, and then we distribute them out to all early years centres. So the mice are gifted to every child before the summer break as a transition object that they can then take with them when they start primary 1 after the summer holidays. There are 6 books that are used as part of the transition project, The Lion Inside being the main book because of our little mouse friend in that book. And I make sure that in our branches, we have lots of extra copies of all of these transition books so that families can come and borrow them over the summer holidays, potentially as part of their summer reading challenge reads. And then our libraries have been incorporating these stories into their summer storytelling programmes. And then building on our partnership with the education team, we also issued invitations to all of our early year centres as well this year. So I'm awaiting all the evaluation. That's next week's job to start collating all the statistics, but I'm hoping that we will be able to evidence that we've had an increased uptake in the age 4 to 7 category on the back of having engaged our nurseries. What is on the plan for next year? We have moved already our BookBug Explorer bag gifting to BookBug Week in May. Too many bags going around in November during Book Week Scotland with Read, Write, Count and Primary 1 bags. So just logistically it made sense, but also our preschoolers often feel quite left out when they don't get their Explorer BookBug bag, even though they've had one the year before. A year is an awful long time in the minds of our little people. So by moving it to BookBug Week, there are all these transition activities beginning to happen then. So I thought we can do something with this. So I am hoping to work with my colleagues in education to now be able to include library registration as part of the school enrolment process. We already do a big sign up with registrars for ECAM. So I see this as our next entry point for ECAM in Midlothian. And then how I would envisage this all coming together is during BookBug Week in May, when our preschoolers get their Explorer bag, I would like to be able to gift the preschoolers their library card, their invitation to the Summer Reading Challenge, and their Midmouse, so that they then have something to bridge that gap between leaving nursery and starting in primary 1. The 7 weeks is still a huge time in the minds of little people. So anything that we can do in libraries just to keep all that work, good work that's done, preparing them at the end of nursery, bringing them into libraries, or some of our branches were saying, bring your mouse with you to the story time. We had little mice hidden all over the library. So it just keeps that, it's a continuation. It stops that dip over the holidays. So really to just sum things up, it's been by working together with other services, as Karina was already alluding to, that collaboration, just bringing it all together, working together is what is enabling us to really deliver the Summer Reading Challenge successfully here in Midlothian. Likewise, I will share my presentation with Sean to send on to all of you if you are interested in any of the bits that were included in that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Wendy. That was wonderful. And yeah, as others have said, Marion said in the chat, you know, that joined up approach is incredible. It was really inspiring. So thank you very much for sharing that. So next up, we now are going to go to Emma Braithwaite, also from the Reading Agency. So Emma, if you want to share screen now, and we can you can do the last slot. Thanks.
Thank you, Sean. Karina's going to help me with it to, you know, make it go more smoothly. But thank you, Wendy. I really loved your sunflower project. That's such a clever way to get families coming back every week. Yeah, that's really brilliant. Thank you, Karina. So yes, hello everyone. My name is Emma Braithwaite. I'm head of skills and engagement at the Reading Agency, and my team look after the planning and day-to-day delivery of the Summer Reading Challenge across the UK. And we're really excited to share all of our findings and plans with you today. I'm going to take you through some of the research and consultation work we've done so far, and then through our proposed changes to the programme, as well as next steps and timelines. But first, I just wanted to reiterate what lots of people have said about the importance of that national universal offer in libraries. Next slide, please. Oh, she's done it already. Thank you, Karina. Yeah, so it is the UK's biggest children's reading for pleasure programme in libraries, well over 500,000 children taking part every single year. And that national evidence base is really important to us. You know, we've got 26 years of evidence from our library colleagues, as well as children and families taking part. And that drives everything we do through the programme. And we provide that national framework that can look and feel really local. And you can see from Wendy's lovely presentation how Midlothian-esque that felt. But hopefully we give all of that national framework to pin it on. And we know that that's becoming more and more important to all of the libraries we work with to really reflect their local communities. Exactly, Debbie. Love the mice. That's the Midlothian mice. That's very exciting this morning. The challenge delivers real impact, as we heard from Karina, for children taking part and their reading engagement and enjoyment. And it really does drive library membership and book loans across the summer. Karina shared with you the stats for Scotland, but on a UK-wide picture, we have over 100,000 new library members every single year, and book loans across the summer are a whopping 13.4 million. So that really does buck that trend of children's declining reading engagement. Next slide, please. So we know that the Summer Reading Challenge works in principle, but we're all very aware that we're working in a very different landscape to when it began in 1999. So the aim of this review that we've been doing over the past sort of 18 months is to ensure its long-term growth and that it remains a really relevant national library reading offer. We want to ensure that it evolves to meet the needs of all of you, our library partners, and your communities. And our ultimate ambition is to extend reach to every single child in the country, especially those who need the benefits of reading the most. And as part of the review, we will be consulting on and implementing changes to next year's challenge, but also putting in place plans for future development. So what have we been up to so far? We have mapped existing data, reviewed the landscape that we're all operating in, and explored potential new opportunities. So that includes a review of current reading trends data, some of which Karina took you through earlier, an analysis of the last 10 years of Summer Reading Challenge participation data, and that's from mostly libraries, and then also the last 3 years of our family survey data, so getting the opinions of parents and their children. We've consulted widely with library partners via webinars, and this is another key one for us, our monthly Summer Reading Challenge drop-ins, as well as working with national and regional library sector groups. So a huge thank you to everyone who's helped with those and helped to facilitate those. We've also worked with an external consultant to conduct detailed audience mapping and stakeholder consultation. Essentially, we wanted to do so much work because we know there are a lot of brilliant things about the challenge. So we want to keep the things that are great, as well as improve things that can be improved. So on to our findings. Some of these won't be a surprise to you, but some of them might be. So the key thing from our library partners, which definitely won't be a surprise, is the need for cost and resource efficiencies. So that's one of our key priorities going forward. The annual theme and illustrator does not have a significant impact on participation data. And that's not to say that it doesn't have an impact on individual families and children taking part every year, but what we see in the sort of year-on-year numbers, it doesn't have too much of an impact on participation numbers, completion rates, or that gender split, which is really quite interesting for us. The 6-book model that lots of libraries are still using is clear and simple, but doesn't incentivize the less confident reader or reward the really keen reader who wants to do more. Age differentiation would add value and encourage participation. We know that 4 to 11 is obviously a really big age range with lots of different abilities and interests within it. And so that came out really clearly as being able to adapt to appeal to those different age ranges. Families really value the incentives and rewards. Particular favourites that come up again and again are the stickers, the certificates and the medals. But lots of feedback that the format is similar year on year, and they would like to see a refresh. There's clear potential for digital development to really add value for an increasingly sophisticated young audience, and to really animate the website offer and link it more effectively to the in-person library offer. We've heard already this morning about the importance of family reading and adult reading opportunities alongside the children's offer. So, really providing those reading role models that we know that children need, as well as introducing adults to what else the library has to offer. And whilst the evaluation process is really robust, which we all appreciate, it is very time intensive for library staff and parents and caregivers to complete. So with all those things in mind, we have identified the following areas to focus on in the next stage of consultation and the planning process. So responding to budget and capacity challenges by making further savings and efficiencies for libraries. Refreshing, and revitalising the challenge model to make it even more impactful. Reviewing the range of materials and incentives we produce for the challenge, and clarifying how we can make better use of digital to enhance and enrich the challenge. And I'll take you through each of those things in a little bit more detail now. So first and foremost, savings and efficiencies for libraries. We've already been able to make some changes for 2025 in making changes to the core challenge materials to make them more cost effective and affordable for library authorities. So further changes we're exploring for next year and beyond include reviewing timescales for libraries so that we can share information about theme and materials sooner. Improving the ordering process. So that includes introducing an online ordering system and making sure libraries receive delivery of materials sooner. Reviewing our approach to the design and production of materials to look for cost savings whilst ensuring that lovely quality that you come to expect. And as I just said, making that evaluation process much simpler to reduce staff time required. And I want to change to the model. We're reviewing, looking at the core delivery model for the challenge and how we can increase impact across that full 4 to 11 age range that we engage with. We're keen to retain the 6-goal framework that's already in place, but we want to build in greater flexibility and explore the viability of more personalised goal setting that can make achievements more relevant to different ages and abilities. And this is already being done in some libraries. Wendy showed us something that's been trialled this year in Midlothian, where rewards are offered for additional goals or attending library events. But we want to look at how we could potentially integrate that into the core materials, but with simplicity and ease of delivery for library partners at the top of mind. We're keen to explore a longer term approach to the thematic model for the challenge and how we can incorporate and use interest pathways as a way to encourage participation. And finally, on the challenge model, we want to continue to explore ways we can add in family and adult reading activity. We've had a bit of a trial this year with the Road to Reading campaign that we gave away free materials for. We'll be looking for your feedback on how that's worked, but we know that that's going to be an integral part of the challenge going forward. So on those materials and incentives, we want to build on the work we've done in 2025 in focusing on simplicity and cost effectiveness, and mirror the work we've already done on the core resources. We know that those physical incentives are really valued by children, so we want to continue to offer those really possible things, really popular things, sorry, but look at cost savings that we can make with those items. But we're keen to add something new and exciting to offer alongside the core resources. So one option we're exploring is a bespoke Summer Reading Challenge magazine that could be distributed alongside core resources. So that's one thing we're looking into. We also want to look at the introduction of digital rewards that can be offered to complement the physical stuff that children receive. So that could be special motivational videos from authors and champions, potentially access to free audiobooks or entry into big competitions. And we also want to think about incentives to motivate families and other people bringing the children to the library. So that could be a free coffee, shopping discounts, or again, prize draws for big family prizes. We also have digital ambitions for the challenge. I'm conscious of time, so I won't go into this too much. We have long-term ambitions for digital. We know that children want to see some digital activation as part of the challenge, but we know that that has to be done really carefully to make sure it properly adds value to the in-person challenge, that it's safe and effective, and that parents are happy with it as well. You can see on the screen there some of the things we're thinking about, from quite simple things, that can enhance the physical incentives, right through to potentially exciting AI and VR experiences in the library. That's more of a long-term ambition, but those are some of the things that we are thinking about. And as we mentioned earlier, really focusing on those partnership ambitions, so increasing reach and impact through key strategic partnerships, some of which Karina and Wendy mentioned, but also looking at holiday clubs, football associations, and other community and education partners. Enhancing library delivery through targeted investment. Some of you may have seen that we are working on a Julia Rousing Trust funded project at the moment, and securing opportunities for families and libraries through our brand partners. So obviously we want to do even more testing of all of these ideas. So these are some of the things we are going to be doing. Most importantly, testing with children. We want to make sure that they are on board with anything we are changing and will still find it fun and engaging. Obviously testing with parents and carers too, and all of you, our library partners, and also continuing our ongoing advocacy to local and national governments for the power of the programme and libraries. And what that looks like in terms of timeline, September, we will be consulting with children and families via library surveys and workshops. September, October with our library partners and wider stakeholders, and then getting information out to the sector in October, November with all the confirmed changes. So here's a bit of a summary and some next steps. We'll be putting that consultation into action, and you will start to see those changes from next year's Summer Reading Challenge, with a particular focus on efficiencies and cost savings, and those new look resources. We'll also be developing a specific strategy for future delivery in Scotland, and we're really looking forward to working on that with all of our lovely library partners. Summer Reading Challenge will be a major tentpole moment for the National Year of Reading, so we're really excited about that. And we have a national strategy group. Some of you may not know that, and Scotland are represented in that group. And so, yeah, really looking forward to working with the strategy group on our longer term planning. That's all for me. But yes, do get in touch with your reflections, questions. If you want to be involved in consultation, get in touch with the team. But I'll be quiet now and we can get some questions from people.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Emma, and thank you to everybody that spoke today. That was really, really informative. Loads packed into a short space of time, but really covered a lot of ground there. So thanks to Marion for setting a brilliant context, for Karina for all that fantastic data, Wendy for really showing a brilliant local example, and Emma there for setting the kind of roadmap going forward. It sounds some really exciting plans coming up. So thank you all, and yeah, everyone, please show your appreciation for all the speakers today. That was fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, can I have a question? Just a quick one. So for that consultation with your library partners, will you be engaging with them? Is there anything more that libraries can do to try and support your work on that?
Yes, absolutely. We will be coming out to all of our coordinators with questions for library staff as well as for families that might be coming into your library spaces. Obviously, we'll be continuing to work with SILIPS and SLIC as well, so kind of gathering feedback that way. And SLIC sits on our strategy group, as I mentioned, so can feed in the Scottish perspective and into those sort of bigger strategic decisions as well. But yes, I'm going to put the email address in the inbox. If you've got any reflections, questions on anything today, anything that wasn't clear, or if you would really love to be part of it. One of the things we really want to do in the next few weeks actually is have some in-depth interviews with library teams, particularly thinking about that goal setting. Wendy gave a lovely example. We'd really like to talk to people about the practicalities of that, making sure that it's really simple for everybody to deliver. So yeah, any volunteers for that, for my team to get in touch and have a chat would be brilliant.
Thank you so much, Emma. Okay, well, we're coming to the end now. I can pass as the reading agency. Have you got any final points that you want to raise to wrap up today?
No, just from me, thank you
No,
everyone
all
for
good.
coming along, and yeah, it's lovely to see so many people attending. Yeah, we're really excited about the changes that are coming, and yeah, glad to start sharing them with all of our library colleagues. But I don't know, Debbie, if you wanted to
just
say anything?
just a big thank you from us as well for all the amazing work that you do, with the Summer Reading Challenge and in your libraries. I mean, you're the ones that really make it happen. So, without you, there would be no challenge. So just a big thank you to the Reading Agency for all that hard work and amazing commitment that you show to getting reading for pleasure out there into your communities.
Brilliant. Thanks, Debbie. A perfect point to end there. We have an evaluation.